So welcome everyone to my top 15 movies of the year list. Now before I get into my list, I need to say a few things. You're probably wondering why I'm doing a top 15 list instead of a top 10 list, and there are a few reasons why. One of those reasons is that I want to be different from all the other movie channels that do just top 10 lists, which are mostly the majority of movie channels do top 10 list. I don't want to be different from that. I want to do my own thing, and my own thing is this top 15 list that I want to do each year. The other reason is that there are dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of movies that come out every single year, and there are a lot of good movies that I see, and I just want to give my fair say into like which movies are the best, and I want to also say like which movies have honorable mentions in my opinion. Now for the movies that are going to be in my list, there are going to be links down below, and you can see my reviews for those movies in my list. But you may see that some movies may have a 4 out of 4 stars and are like really low on my list, while like a movie that has a 3.5 or a 3.75 are like more like higher on my list. And here's the reason why some of those movies may be lower or higher, is that over time I may have disliked them a little bit more, or I may have liked them a little bit more. Also, really, to be on my top 15 list, you have to be memorable. And by memorable, I mean memorable in the sense that like all aspects of film were like incredible, or memorable as in like your dramatic scenes were really well done, or you had really incredible action scenes, or the story was really well told throughout the entire movie. And just keep in mind that this is my opinion. Like, not everyone is gonna have like these movies in their list, and you may disagree with me, and that's fine, because all film is subjective. Now the final thing I need to say before I get into my list are the honorable mentions. And the honorable mentions are The Place Beyond the Pines, Man of Steel, The World's End, Rush, Thor: The Dark World, Dallas Buyers Club, All Is Lost, Frozen, and The Hobbit: The Desolation of Smaug. Now with that out of the way, let's start my list. Coming in at number 15 is This Is the End. Now I was trying to decide between This Is the End and The World's End as to which one should take this spot. And I just thought that This Is the End had a better comedy. And I think that This Is the End had a better premise to it as well, which was a group of comedic actors like surviving together after the apocalypse happens. And the thing I like about this movie is that the comedic actors are being played by themselves. So Seth Rogen's playing himself, James Franco is playing himself, Jonah Hill is playing himself, and like a lot of other people and a lot of other actors are playing themselves in this movie. And throughout the movie they're just making fun of themselves. And I think that the movie would have been like really different if it was a bunch of comedic actors that weren't real in real life. Coming in at number 14 is The Wolf of Wall Street. Now, I like the fact that you know right off the bat that this is a Scorsese movie, like just from the first few minutes of the movie, because of the way it's directed. And you can tell that Scorsese has other styles from like Goodfellas, Casino, and even Gangs of New York mixed together in this movie, and that's how I can tell it's a Scorsese movie. I thought Leonardo DiCaprio did a good job of playing Jordan Belfort, and I thought that Jonah Hill, Matthew McConaughey, John Bernthal, and Margaret Robbie did good jobs as well. And I thought that the writing was good because it showed Jordan Belfort's life while like put in dark comedy, just to show you how crazy his lifestyle was, and how crazy his rise to the top was, and how crazy his downfall was when he was being targeted by the government and the FBI. And after you see the movie, like, you sort of go through all the crazy moments, and you think that this may be like one of the most craziest people in the world that aren't crazy. Coming in at number 13 is Captain Phillips. Now this is another one of those movies where you can tell who's directing the movie, and the movie's being directed by Paul Greengrass, and you can tell with his style because he uses the same style in movies like The Bourne Supremacy, The Bourne Ultimatum, U-993, and The Green Zone. And I think it was a good idea to have Greengrass direct this movie because of what happened in the movie and the fact that it's based off of true events. Tom Hanks did a really good job playing Captain Phillips, especially during the last 10 minutes of the movie, because he just gave it all in those last 10 minutes to show you the aftermath of the hostage situation he was in. I also thought that Barkat Abdi and the three other Somali actors who played the Somali pirates did a terrific job, and from what I understand, Barkat Abdi and the three other Somali actors, this is their first role in any movie, and to have a performance like they did in this movie, Captain Phillips, is just phenomenal in my opinion, because they really showed how menacing Somali pirates can be. And I like how the movie shows why the Somali pirates hijacked ships and everything, and it's sort of good to see their side of the story as well. Coming in at number 12 is The Spectacular Now. So I read the book that the movie is based off of, and I thought it was a really good read, so I watched the movie, and I thought that the movie was really, really good. And the reason I thought it was really, really good was because it showed teenage life in a realistic and real mature way. I thought that the acting from Miles Teller and Shailene Woodley were really good. Miles Teller plays Sutter Keeley, who's this sort of laid-back person that takes life as it comes and has a lot of philosophies about life, while Shailene Woodley plays Amy Finnicky, who's this nerdy, sort of awkward, cute person. And after meeting with each other, they start having this relationship with each other. And like I said, I like the realistic and mature tone of this movie, because the relationship they have is one of the most realistic relationships I've ever seen in any movie. And I thought the way the movie ended was really terrific, because it left a really good high note. And overall, I thought it was a really good coming-of-age story. Coming in at number 11 is The Way, Way Back. Now, The Way, Way Back is another great coming-of-age story. And the thing I like about The Way, Way Back the most was the writing, because I thought the writing was really original. Some of the best original writing of the year, I think, from the movies I've seen. And again, it's another movie that shows another teen's life in a realistic and mature manner. Liam James plays Duncan, and I've never seen Liam James in another movie, but this is the first movie I've seen with him, and he did a really good job playing this shy, awkward person. Steve Carell did a good job playing this boneheaded, obnoxious person that's the boyfriend of Duncan's mom. And Sam Rockwell, I thought, did the best job playing this nonchalant, take-it-easy person who helps Duncan get more social and be less awkward. Yeah, really, The Spectacular Now had more of a drama feel to it with a little bit of comedy, but in The Way, Way Back it has more of a comedy feel to it with drama. And again, the way the movie ended was another movie that ended with a high note, in my opinion. Coming in at number 10 is Prisoners. Now, Prisoners is a movie that made me very uncomfortable because of how realistic it was and the story behind it. Now, the story is about a child going missing, and the father, played by Hugh Jackman, is trying to search for her but can't find anything, so the police get involved, and Jake Gyllenhaal plays this police detective who is on the case and is trying to find where the missing child is. And Hugh Jackman's character thinks that this other character, played by Paul Dano, did something to his child, so he goes after him secretly, while Jake Gyllenhaal goes on other leads without knowing that Hugh Jackman is dealing with Paul Dano's character. And the movie just goes to show you how far someone will go to get someone that they love back. And the way the movie progressed throughout the movie made it even more uncomfortable, because it made you feel like you were actually watching an actual kidnapping and an actual case, which never really did happen in real life. Coming in at number 9 is Mud. Now, Mud is one of those movies from this year that surprised me a little bit, because when I watched it, I thought it was just going to be a good movie, but after watching it, I thought it was a really great movie. There were sort of two stories going throughout in the movie. One with this young teenager who's going through sort of a rough life, with his parents fighting with each other and everything, while hanging out with his friends. And other stories with Matthew McConaughey, who's run away from the law because he killed someone for the person that he loved, who's played by Reese Witherspoon. And I love how sometimes the two stories intersect with each other and go out their own ways, and they intersect back and go out their own ways and intersect back again. And I just love the way it was directed by Jeff Nichols and written by Jeff Nichols as well. And overall, I thought that Matthew McConaughey did a good job acting, and so did Ty Sheridan, who played one of the young teenagers that helped Matthew McConaughey's character. And the way the movie progressed throughout, and the things that happened were at moments shocking, at moments sad, and at moments angering. And again, this is one of those movies that ended with a really high note to it. Coming in at number 8 is Pacific Rim. So what can I say about Pacific Rim? That it's really, really awesome. I mean, some people are going to complain about the movie because they're going to say that it didn't have much of a story to it, or enough character development, or anything like that. And I mean, that's true, but the thing that made it up for me were the fight scenes between giant monsters versus giant robots. And I thought that the battles were amazing, because he had battles in the bay, he had battles in the city, he had battles in the air, he had battles underwater. I mean, they went all over the place, and the thing I like about the battles were that the robots, like each robot was different, and each monster was different in its own way. And I thought the visual effects were amazing as well with these battles, because they made the battles even more realistic, and it's sort of hard to make a battle realistic between a giant robot and a giant monster, because that sounds cheesy, but with the visual effects added to the battles, it just made it, like, amazing. I mean, it made it realistic, and it's hard to make something like that realistic. Coming in at number 7 is Star Trek Into Darkness. Now, I thought that Star Trek Into Darkness was the best sci-fi film of the year, in my opinion. Some people may say Pacific Rim, but I thought that Star Trek Into Darkness was a better movie, because it had a story to it. And the thing I don't understand, really, is that a lot of Star Trek fans are really mad about this movie for some reason. And I think the reason they're mad is because it takes place in a parallel universe where all the stuff in, like, the original movies and the original series didn't happen at all. But for someone like me who's only seen the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies, it didn't really matter to me about, like, how different it was from the original movies or the series and into, like, this new parallel universe. And I thought that Benedict Cumberbatch played one of the best villains of the year as well. I mean, I thought that he was, like, truly menacing, like, throughout the entire movie, and just that I would not want to be in a room with him. Like, just from some of the villains this year, he's like one of the people who's like, nope, wouldn't want to be in a room with him. I thought the visual effects were really great as well, along with the acting, along with the sound design. Just a great sci-fi movie overall, I thought. Coming in at number 6 is Lone Survivor. Now, I thought that Lone Survivor was going to be lower on my list at first, but when I really thought about it, Peter Berg did a magnificent job with this movie, I thought. I thought that the dramatic scenes that he directed were really well done and tense. And so were the action scenes that he directed. They were, like, very, very tense, because it's like you don't know what's going to happen at all. And the reason you don't know what's going to happen is because, like the Navy SEALs are battling with the Taliban, and the Navy SEALs, like, keep getting shot up and everything. Like, they keep getting, like, scratched by, like, rock and keep getting hit by bullets, like in their limbs and everything. And there's, like, rockets flying everywhere, and it's like Taliban are charging over the place, and it's like, holy crap. And it has, like, some of the most realistic, like, battle scenes I've ever seen also in, like, in a movie. I mean, I would put, like, the battle scene in Lone Survivor up there with, like, the battle scenes in Saving Private Ryan or in Black Hawk Down, in my opinion. Other than that, I thought that the cast did an incredible job with their acting as well, and I thought that the makeup was really good. Coming in at number 5 is Saving Mr. Banks. Now, Saving Mr. Banks was the movie that surprised me the most this year, because once I saw the trailer for Saving Mr. Banks, I thought to myself, probably not gonna really like it, but I went to see it anyway, and after seeing it with my dad, he and I agreed that it really surprised us. I mean, it really did, because you knew like from the trailer that it was going to be about like how Mary Poppins was made and like the struggle between P.L. Travers, who wrote Mary Poppins, with Walt Disney and trying to make the movie. But there's more to the trailer that meets the eye, because in the movie there's like flashbacks and like into Australia where P.L. Travers used to live as a kid, and like just to see her life during that time was like, it was really dark, it seemed. And that's the thing that surprised me about this movie, was that it went down a dark path down P.L. Travers' life, and it didn't sugarcoat anything, which I thought was really good. I thought that Emma Thompson did a great job playing P.L. Travers. I thought that Tom Hanks did a good job playing Walt Disney. I thought that Colin Farrell did a good job playing the father of P.L. Travers. Also thought that the costume and production designs were amazing. And like I said, I thought it was the most surprising movie for me this year. Coming in at number 4 is 12 Years a Slave. So I knew what I was getting myself into when I went to see 12 Years a Slave. Like, I knew there were going to be a lot of gruesome moments, like a lot of it, since it was trying to be realistic. But after seeing the movie, it was like, oh my god, that really happened? The movie really shows you, like, what was, like, in the slave trade back in the 1800s, or, like, what was to be like a slave. And just to think that slaves went through all of that, like, still is like, ugh. Even though we've seen this time and time again in, like, other movies, and even though we've learned about it in school, I just think that it was just really well directed by Steve McQueen, because he showed you like the atrocities that happened and everything. And just the fact that a free black man from the North got kidnapped and got sold into slavery was a little bit shocking, because it's like, wow, that really happened? I thought that Chiwetel Ejiofor did a magnificent job playing Solomon Northup, who was the person that got kidnapped. Also, Lupita Nyong'o did a really good job playing one of the slaves that was with Solomon during the longest time that he was a slave. And speaking of people I wouldn't want to be in a room with, I wouldn't want to be in a room with Michael Fassbender's character, who plays a slave owner, because, geez, man, he has this strange attitude in the movie, and he's just menacing, like, truly menacing, like, down to the word. And he's just brutal in every sense. Other than that, I thought that the costume design, the production design, and the makeup were very well done throughout the movie too. And the way the movie ended was really well done, because it pulled my emotional strings and I almost started crying, but I didn't. Coming in at number 3 is Fruitvale Station. Like 12 Years a Slave, Fruitvale Station was another one of those movies where, when I read the premise for it, it was like, holy crap, this actually happened in real life? And I thought that Ryan Coogler did an incredible job of both directing and writing this movie, showing the last day of Oscar Grant's life, who was the person that got shot by police at a train platform. And that's not a spoiler or anything, because you see that in the beginning of the movie. I thought that Michael B. Jordan did a magnificent job playing Oscar Grant III. It just felt like he embodied this person. Also thought that Octavia Spencer did a good job of playing Oscar's mom in this movie, because she like showed her acting chops in this movie like she did in The Help. And when the movie got to the event when the shooting happened, man, I felt my heart pumping. Like, I don't really feel my heart pumping a lot, like, unless I'm really tensed up, and this movie, like, really made me tense, like, during this moment, because it's like the music built up, and the tension built up, and the pacing built up, and then after the shot, like, I jumped, sort of, and I knew it was coming. It was just really well directed and really well done. Coming in at number 2 is The Hunger Games: Catching Fire. Now, I'm sure that some of you are surprised that I have this really high on my list, and I'm surprised as well, because when I started to make this list, I thought to myself that this movie is going to be in the middle of this list. But when I thought about it more and more, when I was comparing Catching Fire to like all these other movies like Fruitvale or 12 Years or Save Mr. Banks or Lone Survivor, I thought to myself, did I enjoy this more or this more? And I thought to myself, okay, like Catching Fire more than this, like Catching Fire more than this, Catching Fire more than this, Catching Fire more than this, but I like this movie over Catching Fire. And I think the reason I really enjoyed The Hunger Games: Catching Fire was because how better it was from the first Hunger Games. I mean, when you compare The Hunger Games and The Hunger Games: Catching Fire, you can tell that The Hunger Games Catching Fire was like 10 times better than the first one. I mean, really it was. It was better in directing, acting, the writing, the production design, costume design, and the visual effects even. And the movie ended in a way where it was like, holy crap, I cannot wait for the third movie now. Finally coming in at number 1 is Gravity. Now, when I was looking back on this year in film, I was thinking to myself, which movies did I really enjoy the most? Or which movies did I really think were the best in all fields that it had in? And really, I thought to myself, the 2 movies that were the most enjoyable for me this year were The Hunger Games Catching Fire and Gravity. And the reason I chose Gravity over Catching Fire was because I just thought it was a better movie. I thought that Alfonso Cuarón did a awesome job just directing this movie. And along with his son, Jones Cuarón, he did a great job with the writing as well. And the visual effects of this movie are just stunning. Like, they are just really spectacular. And the 3D of this movie is, like, really good as well. I think it's, like, the best 3D movie since Avatar, in my opinion. And all the other tech stuff was good. The sound editing, the sound mixing, the sound design, the score of the movie, the editing was, like, really well done. Then there's the acting from Sandra Bullock and George Clooney. Now, George Clooney isn't in the movie for that long, but he did a really good job being a supporting actor. I just thought that Sandra Bullock did a better job since she carried the entire movie with, like, almost by herself. Now, I know that some people may say that they didn't like Gravity because it didn't have much of a story. Well, like, there's not much of a story to tell because it's all about survival in space. What people come back with me is that, well, they could have shown flashbacks of, like, Sandra Bullock's character since she mentions, like, some stuff that happened in the past. I just tell them that, no, that wouldn't work because it would just ruin the flow of the movie. And the final thing I'll say about Gravity is that this movie just makes you tense. I mean, it really does, because like Lone Survivor, it's one of those movies where it's like, you don't know what's going to happen next, because there's just some stuff that happens, like, out of nowhere, and it's like, really, just really bad luck for Sandra Bullock's character. For example, like, remember in the trailer where you see that scene where Sandra Bullock's character is, like, stuck to that pole, and she's, like, going, like, rotating, like, over and over again, like, into space? Like, that scene, like, really made me tense. Like, I got goosebumps in that scene, like, in the theater. And there were, like, many other moments where I got goosebumps, or I jumped a little bit, or I was like, gripping on my chair because I didn't know what was going to happen next. And the way the movie ended, it was like, yeah, 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 yeah. It just felt like one of those moments because of, like, what happened. So that's my list of the top 15 movies of the year. Do you guys agree with me or disagree with me? Comment down below to tell me if you disagree or agree with me with some points. And other than that, guys, that's it.